Usopp, what are you doing? So with this week's chapter, it feels as though Oda sped up a couple things. Things are starting to move a little bit more faster. We got progression. Luffy is literally outside the door of Doflamingo. Everything is moving. We got setups for fights. And it feels as though this chapter, the pacing of it was just way better than a lot of the chapters we've had recently. But there was one issue I would definitely say with this chapter. But I'll get to that in a little bit. So it seems as though Zoro's going to take on Pica by himself. And Zoro seems to be struggling in a way as well. He's kind of like he doesn't know how to defeat this guy. And I'm imagining it's going to be some sort of specific thing that he's going to need to find in order to defeat this guy, because if he just keeps on slashing the walls, the guy Pica can pretty much just go from one side of the wall to the other. So it might be similar to, like, I don't know, Yu Yu Hakusho, where there was one red stone that you had to attack. That was the heart of it. So maybe there will be a heart of the wall where Pica is, or something that he has to trick Pica of some sort, which Zoro isn't the most brightest as far as, like, to trick him goes. So he would probably have to just start slashing shit up and do one epic slash that just takes on the whole wall in one sweep, which would be like, oh my god, Zoro, like, how strong are you, bro? So a very good battle set up with Zoro versus Pica. Luffy and Violet continue, and I feel as though it just really felt good with the progression in this chapter. Things are just finally moving. Zoro is setting up for a fight. Luffy and Violet are just running around doing different things. And while we get a little bit more of the toy soldier in this chapter, which at this point it kind of felt like we were getting a bit of an abundance of him, in this chapter it kind of felt as though, okay, now his role is setting a little bit more in, because now you have Luffy there, you have Violet there, and it was kind of a little bit like, again, we got a lot of good things in this one, because you got that guy Gladius, and he's attacking them. They managed to get away because, you know, they're on a time schedule. They got to get things done. So you go through that little scrape as well, and then they show up outside of Doflamingo, and it's kind of like, yeah, things is moving with this chapter. I really like that. I'm curious as to how Kinemon got away, because if I'm correct, I was reminded recently with the anime, for some reason it just escapes my memory, but he was captured, and in this week's chapter, we see that he's back, and he's like disguised as Doflamingo, so maybe I just missed something. I don't know. When it comes to Kinemon, it's just something like, but he seems to be back, and now he seems to be working with one of the Tontadas as well, because you see that is pretty much telling him, no, he's supposed to be young lord, which at the same time is kind of one half like, okay, he got back. I don't know how he escaped from his captures, but he got back, and now it's like he's cosplaying as Doflamingo. Like, the humor in this one is kind of like, yeah, what's up with this? And I'm just really curious at this point the importance of Kanjuro, because with Kinemon, he's pretty much, you know, non-stop. He needs to find this guy, and this guy seemingly escaped from where he was captured. So I'm curious as to his abilities, what type of person he is, and just overall, is he indeed that good friend that Kinemon is looking for? Maybe Kinemon was set up by this Kanjuro guy, and this Kanjuro guy set him up, like, you know, in the end to get his son captured or something like that. So I'm really curious to learn a little bit more about this Kanjuro guy. And I'm curious if we're not going to even see him until maybe we get to the Wano country. So it really just, like, it's a little bit mysterious with this guy at the moment. And maybe it's just me, but Doflamingo is getting even darker with every chapter. Now he got Law there, and he's, like, pretty much having him slapped around, and King Rico, and he's trying to get the information out of them. And I'm curious as to what he was referring to when he said the core darkness of this country. Was he referring to something that we already know about how everyone is losing their memories, or getting turned into toys, or is it even something further? I'm guessing for the most part he's referring to that pretty much the core darkness of this country is that people are getting turned into toys, people are getting forgotten, and they're pretty much becoming slaves down there. So that's what he's referring to when he says, I wonder if they learned the truth about the core darkness, and that's why they're going even further, and how everything is just messing up. It's like he's putting everything together. It's like the Tontadas are there, then I captured King Rico and Law. He's just trying to put things together and put things into perspective as to what the fuck is going on, because even he's like, the Straw Hats, King Riku, this toy soldier, what's going on? And we even get to see that Frankie is still going in yet again. So once again, what I gotta keep saying with this chapter is that the pacing was pretty on par this week. But now I gotta talk about something that is like, I've been like on the fence about talking about, but with this week's chapter, it's just inevitable at this point. I have to address it. And that's regarding the whole Usopp being cowardly thing. Robin gets turned into a toy with this week's chapter, and it feels at this point like, come on with this Usopp shit. Like, now he's running away. I feel as though his character development that we gotten from the time skip, you know, from when he was super cowardly, that everything scared him, to when he came back and he's like, yo, I got muscles now, dog. You know, he had advanced, and now he's backtracking in the character development department, where he was brave and, you know, he was ready to go. And like with this week's chapter, he's running away. Now, granted, he did say, you know, oh, I'm not going to die a useless death just to be looked at as a hero, but it feels as though he shouldn't be in these predicaments. And it feels as though with this whole Usopp running away situation, it's kind of like, okay, maybe if he's running to go quickly do something around the corner or some shit, but the fact that he's just running away and he's like, oh, Frankie, it's your fault, like, you should have some sort of accountability at the end of the day that you fucked up. And, like, it's played up for comedy, but after a certain point, you're sacrificing a character's development for comedic purposes, and that just doesn't fly. So I'm really hoping that with this whole Usopp shit, in the end, he just does something humongously epic, either defeating somebody very strong in it. And it's kind of weird, because if you look at this chapter and everything that's been building up to this, it almost seems as though a lot of what's going on is riding on Usopp, and for him to just be running away, blaming Frankie, saying it's his fault because he's not here to help, it just really is an insult to the character himself, because Usopp is far above this. We've seen him since the time skip that he isn't as scared as he used to be, and now it seems as though we're going back to Usopp and Thriller Bark, and it's like he has progressed beyond this. So let's not get this backtracking in the character development department and move on. Let Usopp do something amazing, because I'm sure he's going to fight somebody strong and it's going to be some epic thing, but it seems as though along the way, like, does the end justify the means, pretty much is what I'm trying to say. While maybe he might do something epic later, does all the scaredy catness and running away, the old Usopp kind of rearing his face, justify it? But overall, with this chapter, very good pacing. A lot of things went down with this one. We got some setups for a fight. We got Doflamingo pretty much there, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Luffy can't take it no more, busts in on Doflamingo, him and Violet there, and it's just like this all-out war. And maybe during the process, the toy soldier gets reverted back. Maybe they finally tie down Sugar and fuck her up, or Sugar passes out or some shit, and then we finally get to see Kitos, which I like the little connections as well with the family, because you got King Riku there, and then King Riku's connection to Rebecca, and all these connections just kind of really plays well. And you kind of have the toy soldier, even though he's been forgotten, he's there talking to Violet like, yeah, you know, I've been watching you for a while, and you see that the trust is there as well. Like, she kind of trusts him and understands. So even though she forgot about him, it feels as though even though you can be forgotten, at the end of the day, the emotions and the connections that you have and the bonds that you have with people, they'll never be replaced. So at the very least, they're still intact. So she still trusts him, you could totally see. So that's something interesting as well. And overall, with this chapter, I feel as though the pacing was good. A lot of good setups, a lot of good progression. Just the only thing is that this Usopp thing is getting carried away. Like, for a while now, I was kind of like, okay, yeah, it's going to pay off greatly, so it doesn't matter. But after a certain point, when the chapter's ending with even the narrator saying, stop running away, Usopp, that's what it's like, come on, bro, like, really? Let me know what you guys think. First of all, how do you think Zoro's going to be able to take on Pica? Do you believe it's going to be some sort of, like, the heart of Pica that he has to find, or is he just going to do one giant slash and take out the entire castle? Also, how long do you think it's going to take for Luffy to lose his patience and just bust in there and fuck up Doflamingo and cause a riot? What is your whole stance on this Usopp thing? Do you feel as though it's getting ridiculous with him being cowardly? I mean, it comes to a certain point where, yeah, you want to be comedic. Yeah, that still will always be an Usopp to be a little bit of afraid of things, but when it comes to the point where he's running away and blaming Frankie, it's like, yeah, that needs to go. But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Thumbs up for Zoro versus Pica. Thumbs up for Luffy steadily right there. Like, I know it's not going to take long for him to just go crazy and just start fucking shit up. And thumbs up if you want to see Usopp finally man up and go fuck some shit up, because I'm just saying, like, Usopp, it's time to man up. We're in New World, baby. You knew this. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.